So joining me today is Naomi Judge. She's a naturopath and the co-creator of a wonderful online program called Breakthrough, which is all about resistant weight loss. And that's kind of one of the major reasons why I've invited Naomi to talk to us, because obesity, it's such a huge epidemic out there, but so is moderate weight gain and excess weight in a more moderate sense. And Naomi is an absolute expert in this field. So hi, Naomi. How are you?
Hi there. Thanks for having me, Alex. I'm sick to be on Real Food Rockstars.
It's wonderful to have you here. So there's so many things we could talk about, can talk about, will talk about, but let's start first. I know. Let's start first by maybe just sharing your journey as to how you came to become a naturopath, helping people live healthier lives. Like, what was your journey to realising that's what you wanted to do?
Well, my journey is actually quite a common journey, and actually you're a lot of naturopaths and people in the health field, coaches, naturopaths, nutritionists, have probably come from this space. And before I became a naturopath, I was working in the corporate world. I had a job that consumed most of my time. I was getting up at 5 a.m. I was not going to bed until 2 a.m. Not having lunch breaks, and it was just stress. And after a while, it just wore me down to a place where I couldn't get out of bed. I was exhausted. I burst into tears for no reason. I couldn't sleep, and I had dry, flaky skin, and just.
You were a basic example of what not to do, right?
What not to do, and it's terrible. You just get so consumed in this lifestyle. Of it's meant to be a 9 to 5, but it takes up all of your time, and you're working for somebody else, and you're working for a big corporation, and that's really your life. So enough was enough, and after one day of breaking down at work, I decided I've got to do something different. And I was always interested in natural health, and always, was looking at alternatives, and my diet wasn't too bad. So then I just started pursuing that path. It's about 10 years ago.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And obviously your major specialisation is resistant weight loss, and this is something a lot of people out there struggle with. What do you think you've seen over the years that are some of the reasons or some of the types of health cases, conditions, whatever you might like to share with us, about why some people find it extremely hard to lose weight and others don't? Why do we find it sometimes extremely hard to lose weight?
Okay, so, I could say this, there's always diet and exercise, and I probably won't go on too much about diet and exercise because there are so many more other things that have a lot to do with weight. And working in clinic, working with a lot of women, especially that were exercising every day, intensely exercising every day, eating hardly anything, and still they weren't losing weight. That was where I decided, okay, there's something going on here. There's more going on, and started to look into it a bit more. So there are a few different areas that I note that are really, really huge when it comes to stubborn, resistant weight loss. One of them is hormones. So hormones is a huge one for both men and women. And you can kind of tell as well by the person's body, how they look. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a man example. You know how you might find a guy, or a lot of women out there, they might have husbands that go to the gym and they work out, and they have quite muscly, slender legs, but they have like a big kind of airy beer belly. Mm-hmm. You know what so that's low testosterone, a sign of low testosterone. So it's really cool to see that. So, just balancing out a man's hormones can just help with that weight loss. And so in women, hormones is a huge one. Mm-hmm. High estrogen to low progesterone is a huge one. And then generally an all-rounder is a bit of insulin resistance. Mm-hmm. So people tend to just get that sort of the fat on their belly, and that's blood sugar issues. So that's a huge one, along with hormones. And then another big one that I've seen is gut bacteria. Lots of people that are overweight actually have different type of gut bacteria, and even have a different, they actually have more lactobacilli And that can sometimes cause people to put on a little bit of weight around the tummy area. So gut's a huge one, along with hormones. And then toxins as well. So toxins are huge. With toxins, so you'll know a lot about this, and all your clients and the people that follow you know a lot about all the toxins in the environment and beauty products. What happens is our bodies try and protect us from these toxins. And so what our body does is, instead of storing the toxins in our brain, in our heart, it tries first to protect us. So it will store fat around the toxins, and hence lots of people, women might get cellulite, and they might get larger areas with fat, and then, after heavy drinking or using or being in a toxic environment, they put on weight quite quickly, and that's one of the big reasons as well. So those are a lot of the reasons I see the stubborn resistant weight loss, and sort of diet and exercise as well. But those are the other things people need to actually be aware of.
Yeah. And you mentioned excess lactobacilli. How do we test our gut bacteria profile? What can someone do?
Well, it is difficult, but you can't really go to your GP. They do a standard one for parasites, but you can do what's a CDSA. So it's a complete diagnostic stool analysis. And so you can order them from the States, but really you need to go and see a practitioner, and you can order the stool test, and it's really cool. It goes through all your good bacteria. So it goes through your lactobacilli, it goes through your acidophilus, it goes through all of that. Then it goes through parasites, because parasites as well, if we've got parasites or things like Klebsiella bacteria, we can put on a lot of weight then. So it's good to know whether we do have parasites or bacteria. So you can get a stool test, and you can get all that analysis done, and that's actually a really great foundation to then go forward and say, okay, this is what I need to change in my diet. I need to have more fermented foods or less, or I need to have this kind of bacteria and these kind of foods. It's a really cool way to start.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, a lot of people like to turn to quick fixes when it comes to weight loss, or big packets and promises. And Lord knows I've seen a few in my time pushing 40, is the shake programs. And they cost a bomb, so many of them as well. And people get lured into, having meal replacements, basically. What's your view on these sorts of quick fixes? I know there are a couple of really big name ones travelling around at the moment. What's in them? Why should people even consider them, if they should at all? I don't believe so, but you feel free to disagree with me. And what could be the long-term damage of going down that road?
Well, okay, so they are a quick fix. So if someone's overweight and they need to lose weight quickly, you can do it on these Shake It programs, because you're not eating. You might miss out breakfast, lunch and dinner. Some people will miss out all 3 meals and have these. So, yeah, people can lose weight, but to the detriment of your health. So you're not supporting your good health. So you will be losing weight quickly. And if you do need to suddenly lose weight because you need to go in for you've got arthritic knees and you need to lose it very quickly, you can do it that way, but it's not supporting you health-wise. So you will still have more inflammation, so it might even progress the arthritis or cause more pain. In terms of the actual products, they're just not full of, they're not full of real food. They're not full of healthy, nutritious ingredients. They have poor quality products in, lots of fructose, lots of artificial sweeteners. Some of them have whey, and whey can be okay, but it has to be a really good quality whey sourced, and it has to be processed properly for our bodies to react to it positively. And most whey will cause inflammation if it's not a good quality. And most of us are actually a little bit intolerant to whey anyway. So it's going to cause inflammation, and food intolerance is actually another cause of stubborn resistant weight. So long term, they actually can cause a rebound weight effect. So you lose the weight, but then you just rebound and the weight comes back. And because
that's not good for your metabolism long term, is it?
Well, no, it's not good for the thyroid, not good for the metabolism. It will just start to slow everything down. And the body's just not getting the nutrients it needs. It's all synthetic, and our bodies don't know what synthetic nutrients are they're not natural. So our liver and everything has to then go and process these synthetic things. Most of the other powders in the the powders from the Shake It programs will have other things in to fill it out. So again, our body's then detoxing, it's then having to process. We then have to use enzymes to try and process all of these things. So it's just not a good way to be living, really. And it doesn't support our health at all. And like you say, it's just a money-making scheme. I mean, if people really want to lose weight that quickly, they can make their own smoothies.
Yeah.
They make their own smoothies, blend up their own smoothies, put some really good quality protein in there that's going to support good health. And that's much better, much, much better than using these powders that are just full of nasty toxins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned the word detox, and there's a lot going around in the news. I think I saw the Guardian article interpreted and commented on by every major health website in the past 2 weeks about detox being bogus. So what are your thoughts on that? Is detox bogus?
I'm very science-based. I come from university. I did neuroscience and I did human reproductive biology. So a lot of my foundation is science. I'm very science-minded, and I'm very careful about what I tell clients to do and why I'm doing things. So I do come from that space. Coming from that space, I know that detox and cleansing is not bogus. I think some of the issues in those articles, they were talking about, our body doesn't need to cleanse it. It's not true about the liver detoxing. But yes, it is true with so many genetic anomalies going on at the moment, so many methylation defects happening at the moment, because our genes at the moment, we're in a crisis. Genetically, humans are in a crisis. Our genes are mutating, they're changing, and our systems are starting to break down. And I don't mean to sort of sound scary, but it is actually true. There are so many people now with these small genetic anomalies, so people can't actually effectively detox coffee. They can't effectively detox alcohol. So many people get red flushes from alcohol, and it's because the liver is just not able to detox. And an example is, the liver does have a couple of phases of detoxification. You've got phase 1, you've got phase 2. The alcohol goes through phase 1. Fat-soluble hormones and other toxins go through phase 2. And a lot of people have a little bit of a clog in the system there due to genes. And so just helping and adding things to help detox just takes the burden off the liver, which will take the burden off the kidneys, which will take the burden off the digestive system. And that's all that cleansing and detoxing it is. It's either filling in the gaps, so giving nutrients that we need to fill in the gaps, or it's giving us extra things like chlorophyll, which actually go into the body. They actually bond, so like a bond, they bond to toxins, they bond to mercury, and we can excrete them. So there is a science behind it. I mean, there are some bogus things out there. I mean, I'm not sure. There would be, like with anything, but there is a science to cleansing and there is a science to detoxing. And right now, as humans, even animals, even animals at the moment, because of all the toxins out there, all the estrogen in all the air, all the formaldehyde in things, and the arsenic in floor polish, everyone's needing a detox at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost something that we should literally be detoxing from modern life, I often think.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's scary with so many, I see it so many times now with all my clients. A lot of people are getting these gene anomalies, like a malfunction.
So I've got one. The CYP450.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I have a deleted 9 and a high-functioning 19. So it did not come as a surprise at all, but it was almost a comfort for me knowing that I had always felt allergic to synthetic fragrances. I always broke out in hives in my years when I was a counter girl in cosmetics, lots of little bumps all over my hands when I was trying the lipsticks for people, and all of these issues like heart racing with caffeine, and just thinking, why is all this happening to me but all my friends are okay? And that test just made me go, aha. Now I know, at least I know what I can work with to support the reality that is my body, rather than ignore it.
You've been there and you know that a bit of detoxing supports you. You know how good you feel.
Yeah.
Done it the right way.
Yeah. So very interesting. Cool. I will put for anyone who needs any additional information about or is interested in the CYP450 test, I'll let everybody know how they can get in touch with someone to do that test. So moving on from detoxing, obviously a lot of people are in a disease state of varying forms. You know, a lot of people have a minor subclinical thyroid, or it might be, as you talked about before, quite a significant hormonal imbalance. It might be any number of the autoimmune diseases popping up left, right and centre. It could be MS, it could be cancer, it could be heart disease, it could be any of these things. Are there diets or ways of eating that are for a healing phase specifically that you can then sort of, in inverted commas, relax a little bit afterwards? Like grain-free is all the rage at the moment as an anti-inflammation, autoimmune assisting style of eating, or low-fat, low-carb, high-fat, and those sorts of things. Have you got any wisdom you can share with us for people trying to navigate what is seems to be exploding medical literature online at the moment in this area? And is there a difference between a healing diet and then an everyday diet for a healthy person?
Look, I think there is, in terms of, I mean, at the moment, there's a lot out. For instance, MS is a lot out about a very, very high-fat diet, literally no carbs and medium protein, lots of veggies, which is a good diet, short term, but long term we're not quite sure where that diet's going to take us. It's not a diet that's been around for a long time because we've gone in and out of fats. But there are diets that I would advise people to actually stay on longer term, and one of them would be actually to identify which foods you're intolerant to. So identify that. In most cases, it's either gluten, dairy, eggs or soy. So the four foods, those are the main foods. Identify which ones you're intolerant to, and then actually come off those, and then maybe do some, and then you can do some healing, and you can introduce them back a little bit. But the one I probably wouldn't, actually the two that I wouldn't introduce back would be soy and gluten. They're probably the two foods I would advise people to stay off all the time.
So if we're a perfectly healthy person and we just love a bit of rice every now and then with a good curry, that's not going to break the health bank.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. It really depends on what the sort of like the biochemical reaction in the body to the food is. So, for instance, I mean, with sugar, you can have sugar and it might spike your insulin. A little bit of sugar will spike your insulin and may give you a bit of energy. But it's not going to have as detrimental effect. You know, a little bit of raw sugar is not going to have a detrimental effect as, say, having gluten a little bit of sugar every day versus a little bit of gluten every day. The gluten is going to have an enormous effect on your body, on your immune system, actually on the inflammation in your body, even if you're not intolerant to it.
Wow. So what is it in gluten that causes this reaction?
It's actually just the proteins. So it's actually the proteins themselves. So, and you can find sort of similar proteins like gliadin and other things. It's kind of a sticky protein, and our body really finds it difficult to process. And then that's what causes the inflammation. And it's the inflammation that we need to be careful of. So even a little bit of gluten in the most healthy person will be having some kind of effect. It may not be huge. And it doesn't mean that they're going to feel it, but it will be having a small effect. But things like rices and starches, or a nice dark chocolate bar occasionally is fine.
Yeah,
fine.
Occasionally being every day, right? Yeah.
I have dark chocolate every day. I do. And I notice if I have gluten, especially gluten, I'm foggy the next day.
Oh, me too, definitely. For me, it's a case of weeks.
Yeah, it can be
not my friend.
But yeah, the strict diets. To go back to the strict diets, I think can be for a short term. You can do the healing diets, and then you can relax a little bit, and go back into and have a few sort of so-called naughty foods now and again.
They're actually healthy.
Yeah, you need to relax and about it. Otherwise, if you're too sort of strict and too uptight about it, your body feels it, and your body's not as happy. And we've only got so much willpower. Our prefrontal cortex is actually what dominates, what actually controls our willpower, which is our brain. So if we're constantly saying no to things, our willpower will just break, and suddenly we'll say yes to something very, very bad. And that's what happens to a lot of people through the day. They go, no, 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 no. And then they get home and they have a bottle of wine because their prefrontal cortex is completely bashed from the whole day of saying no to cake.
Absolutely. Okay, that's great. I think that's going to help a lot of people today. Feel like, I've just got to be kinder to my prefrontal cortex and just have that chocolate at 11 o'clock in the morning. So obviously we talk about healthy foods. Now, I don't think there's ever been a time that term has been more confusing for people because you have such an uprising of almost a bit of an opposite of what the government guidelines are telling us is healthy, and there's a real battle, and it's sort of alternative health professionals against government bodies at the moment almost. Now, the food pyramid, which has now obviously become, I think it's My Plate, it's still largely sponsored by quite a few multinational corporations, which is a reason that I personally don't pay too much attention to it and much prefer to listen to my body and what's going on there in terms of what's healthy for me. Do you agree with it? And if you don't, what would be some of the changes you'd make? What's the perfect plate for your clients when you're advising them?
Okay, so I'd probably scrap the whole thing.
Yay!
There's still vegetable oils on there. There's lots of dairy on there. Lots of grains in terms of gluten grains. There's still all of those things on there predominant, and then they even have sugar on there, I think, somewhere at the top. But there's and there's quite a lot of fruits. They changed that a little bit, but there's still lots of fruit on there, I think. And so I'd probably just scrap that and start again. Most important for people is really your vegetables. Vegetables, I would say, is the most important.
Number one.
For general health, for the vitamins, for the antioxidants, for all the nutrients, minerals, all of those, you can get them in your vegetables. And when I mean vegetables, lots of leafy greens, or your coloured vegetables, salad, all your different vegetables. And then I would say protein. So your pure proteins would sort of be very important in terms of your good animal sources. So your lamb, beef, sustainable fish. So that would be quite high. And then also fats. So your fats such as your coconut oils and your raw olive oils that you'd use without cooking. So you'd have your oils there. And then I would probably put in your fruits and then maybe some nuts and sort of seeds and some gluten-free grains.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have those. I would have them sort of towards the top of my pyramid in a smaller amount. But vegetables and then fat and protein would really take up the majority. Mm-hmm. And then maybe a little bit of dairy. A little bit of dairy can be good for some people. Weight loss, it's not the best thing for weight loss. Dairy is quite carby, so it can inhibit weight loss. I know some clients that have granola and yogurt every day. That can actually be a little bit of a weight loss blocker. So I would change that out.
Would you include butter in that minimization?
Yes. Unless they were sensitive to the casein, the protein. I definitely have butter and ghee. And
you say that they're okay even though they're dairy.
Yes.
For most people. Yeah.
Yeah. So the dairy I'm talking about is more the lactose.
The milk sugars.
Yeah, milk sugars. I use a lot of butter. And I use a lot of the only processed oil I have, but I love it, is MCT oil.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's one of the only processed oils I have. But for me, it just helps my sustained energy through the day and helps me. I do sometimes like to get into ketosis if I'm having to work and having to focus. My brain just switches on. I've got a lot of clarity. So I use ketosis therapeutically depending on what work I'm doing. So I use a bit of MCT oil there.
Could you just clarify for the people who might not have heard of ketosis before what you're talking about when you say that word?
Well, just to sort of put it simply, so it's our body is actually, so normally we're all a bit of glucose addicts. So our bodies at the moment as humans, we're running on glucose as our prime energy source. hence why there's so much insulin resistance, so much diabetes, gestational diabetes, all of these conditions, and obesity. And we need to go from fix to fix to fix, our next meal to our next snack, our next meal, because we're having all these highs and lows of glucose. And hence why you get tired, you go for a coffee, or you get tired, you go for a snack. Whereas getting into ketosis, it actually means your body is using fat stores, using certain fat, and it's actually crossing the blood-brain barrier. So your brain can then use that fat, the ketone bodies from which the fat has kind of produced while you've been burning it, and your brain can use it. So that's why you've got that clear clarity. Mm-hmm. And MCT oil is only ketones and glucose are kind of the only two fuels, especially your body can run on and your brain can run on. So it's really cool. So sometimes I get clients to experiment with it and just see how they do and how their blood sugars are getting into ketosis now and again.
Interesting. Now, obviously, being the weight loss guru, can you just tell us a little bit about, before we finish up, your breakthrough program? Because I'm sure there's going to be a few people who'll be interested in joining you on the next round. And I just think, I was interviewed, obviously, because of all the low tox stuff and the chemicals in beauty products, with the lovely Brenda last time, and I therefore got to see how your course ran, and it was just wonderful, so supportive. It's such a frustrating situation when you feel better, that 5 or 10 kilos lighter than you currently are, and you cannot seem to get there no matter what you do, and which is exactly why you created that course. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what people can expect from that course?
Yeah, sure. I love the course, and it comes from both Brenda and myself, Brenda Janchik and myself. It comes from our heart in terms of where we want the course to go. So the course is all about that stubborn, that resistant weight loss, and it's about using real foods. And the main aim of the course is to get people off the food addiction treadmill. So 3 meals a day, you've got your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, to really focus in, drill down to what your perfect plate is, what meal keeps you from thinking about food. Because I tell you, when you stop thinking about food all the time and you can just have your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, you're 100% more productive, you're happier, you've got energy, and you can actually then do what you want in life. You've got time for everything. You've got time for your family, your friends, your job, your career. It makes such a heap of difference when you're not thinking, oh, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that, I've got to go for coffee, I've got to go for this. It changes your life, and it also helps you to lose weight. So it's about working out your hormones, your blood sugar, the perfect plate for you, and what's going on and why you're not losing that weight. And it's just using real food, and it's really cool. And there's a Facebook page, and everyone's so super supportive. We give people meal plans, so with the perfect ratio of your fat, your protein, your carbs, and your veggies. Teach people how to create the perfect plate. And then we've got cool people like yourself, Alexx, who are talking about things that also can cause problems with weight, such as the toxins in beauty products and cleaning products and that kind of thing. So it's just such a cool program. This one's for 4 weeks this time, and it's kicking off on 2nd of March. So we cannot wait.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing a little bit about that. It's been awesome chatting to you.
Yeah, you too. It'd be great.
And yeah, I will see you online, no doubt. But for everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us for this video. And thank you so much, Naomi, for your time today.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.